Hey, what's up, guys? Eyes Open in California here. This is part two of a three-part series called The Chosen Ones. So I thank you for coming back, and let's jump right back into this thing, shall we? Okay, so here's where we left off. We left off with this list, right? This list, of course, we got from Matthew chapter 10, and we filled in the nicknames of the apostles, right? Using various other scriptures and gospels, right? So this list of men's names is not entirely accurate. Let's start by first figuring out who doesn't belong, right? People are like, what? What did you just say? Somebody doesn't belong. So let's figure this thing out, shall we? Okay, so what did he mean, right? John chapter 6, verse 70. Jesus answered them, have not I chosen you 12, and one of you is a devil, right? What did he mean? Well, let's look at this visually. You have Yeshua. Have not I chosen you 12? So here's the 12, right? Here's the 12 disciples. And one of you is a devil. But remember, he walked around with a big entourage all the time. And in John chapter 6, verse 70, this was right about the time when they had fed the thousands of people with the fruit and the bread. No fish. Yeshua was vegetarian. So with fruit and bread, right? So he told them, hey, you know what? Some of you are not following me because you believe who I am. Some of you are following me to get a free meal. And so he told, a lot of them followed him no more. So they separated, right? So remember, he had his entourage after he called them out, and he was like, yo, don't be using me for a free meal, bro. Like if you don't believe in this cause, then you got to do your own thing. So a lot of them did, and they followed him no more. They separated, right? So Jesus answered them, have not I chosen you 12, and one of you is a devil? This one. Have not I chosen you 12, and one of you is a devil? John chapter 17, verse 12. While I was with them in the world, this is Yeshua speaking. While I was with them in the world, I kept them in thy name. Those that thou gavest me, I have kept, and none of them is lost, but the son of perdition, that the scripture might be fulfilled. John chapter 18, verses 8 through 9. Jesus answered, I have told you that I am he. If therefore ye seek me, let these go their way, that the saying might be fulfilled, which he spake, of them which thou gavest me, have I lost none. Right? None of them is lost. I have lost none. This is a list of 12 people. So out of the 12 people that were given to Yeshua by our Father in heaven, he lost none. Well, that means that somebody on this list doesn't belong, right? So check it out. I kept them in thy name. Those that thou gavest me, I have kept, and none of them is lost, but the son of perdition. Okay, so one is different. Son of perdition, right? Well, the son of perdition is probably the one that had him arrested, right? Which was Judas Iscariot. But Judas Iscariot is on this list of 12. So what does that mean? How could the son of perdition be on this list of 12 apostles if he lost none? Well, he wasn't an apostle. Judas Iscariot was not an apostle. Yeshua lost none of the 12 apostles. But he did lose the son of perdition. Right? So there should be a different person's name here. There's another name that should be on this list that's not on this list. Right? So let's find out who that person is, shall we? Luke chapter 6, verses 13 through 16. And when it was day, he called unto him his disciples, and of them he chose 12, whom also he named apostles: Simon, he also named Peter, and Andrew his brother, James and John, Philip and Bartholomew, Matthew and Thomas, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon called Zelotes, and Judas the brother of James, and Judas Iscariot, which also was a traitor, right? So Judas Iscariot is not supposed to be on that list. So we have 11 people here, right? Because Judas Iscariot is, what do they call him? The son of perdition, right? So he's not supposed to be on the list. But as you may have noticed, Labius Thaddeus is missing from the list of 11. So there's 11 names here, and Labius Thaddeus is missing, right? Just so you see it again, Labius Thaddeus, he's missing. He's not on this list. Instead of the name Labius Thaddeus, it says Judas Iscariot. So there should be a different person's name here. Well, look at this, Judas, the brother of James. This one wasn't written in Matthew chapter 10, but it's written here in Luke 6. Judas, the brother of James. Okay, right? So Judas, the brother of James, the question mark, is that whose name is supposed to be here? Because we know Judas Iscariot is not supposed to be here. Of the 12 given to Yeshua, our Father in heaven, he lost none. And if Judas Iscariot was lost, then Judas Iscariot was not of the 12. He could have been 13, 14, 15, 16 to infinity, but he was definitely not in the starting lineup, right? So should it be Judas, the brother of James? Well, let's find out. Luke did not mention Labius Thaddeus, although Thaddeus was an apostle, right? So I just want to highlight this. I want to bring this to your attention because it's not the first time or not the only time this happens. Acts chapter 1, verse 13. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room where abode both Peter and James, John and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James, the son of Alphaeus, and Simon Zelotes, and Judas, the brother of James. Right? So one can see that Judas Iscariot is missing from the list, but remember, he wasn't an apostle. Yeshua lost none of them. None. So Labius Thaddeus is actually missing again. This is the same mistake as in Luke chapter 6, verses 13 through 16. So for whatever reason, Luke did not include Labius Thaddeus into the list of the apostles, right? He's supposed to be there. He's an apostle. Labius Thaddeus, right? So Judas, the brother of James, appears on this list with the apostles again too, right? So here we have it again. Judas, the brother of James. Okay, so that's the second time it says Judas, the brother of James, right? So it says it in Acts chapter 1, verse 13. It says it in Luke chapter 6, verses 13 through 16. And Judas, the brother of James, right? So why does Luke mention Judas, the brother of James, a few times? Was he an apostle? Yeah, was Judas, the brother of James, an apostle? Well, in John chapter 14, verses 21 to 22, the apostle John says, this is Yeshua speaking, he that hath my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me, and he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him, and I will manifest myself to him. Judas saith unto him, not Iscariot, Lord, how is it that thou wilt manifest thyself unto us, and not unto the world? Right? So Judas saith unto him, not Iscariot. So Judas, the brother of James, was there. It appears as though he was with them because even the apostle John writes about him. Right? So here we have Judas Iscariot, right? So we added Labius Thaddeus. He's definitely an apostle, right? So we locked him into the list, right? So now we have Judas, the brother of James. Judas, the brother of James? Yeah, Judas, the brother of James. Right. Are we done yet? No, we're not done yet. Not just yet. Right. So Acts chapter 1, verse 13. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room where abode both Peter and James and John and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James, the son of Alphaeus, and Simon Zelotes, and Judas, the brother of James. Well, have you ever wondered about this, right? If you actually, let me just back up. I took a screenshot from the Blue Letter Bible app at how this was written in the interlinear because I wanted to see the original Greek, right? Because sometimes when you have a question about scriptures, if you actually go to a Bible app and use the interlinear function, you can see the original language that was used and what the translations were. So you can check translations and mistranslations. And excuse me, believe it or not, there's a lot. There's a lot more mistranslations than you think. And it's not to anyone's fault because translating from one language to another is difficult, right? That's why translators get paid top dollar. It's because it's very difficult to be grammatically perfect, to take something from a language and turn it into the exact replica in a different language. It's very, very difficult, right? And this happens all throughout the Bible. It's nothing to be concerned about in a lot of cases, but sometimes it kind of is, right? So have you ever wondered about this? I'm going to show you something, right? So I decided to look into the Greek language to see if anything else was going on here. And guess what? There was, right? Just on a hunch, I was thinking about something and it ended up being something big. This. Simon Zelotes and Judas, the brother of James. I was looking at these Greek words here, right? So the first thing that we have is Judas, right? The word for Judas is G2455. So here I have G2455, right? And it means Judas. So Judas means Judas, right? And I wanted to get a second opinion. So I went to Worthy Bible, to the Strong's Concordance feature, and G2455 means Judas, right? So Judas checks out, right? So then I was moving on to this one, G2385, right? So we have G2385, we have G2385, and it means James, right? Brother of James, James. So there's a word missing here, right? Adelphos, I believe, in the Greek means the brother. So this just says James. Because I was looking at this and I was like, does this say Judas James, not Judas, the brother of James? But it's missing the word adelphos, which is Greek for brother. So I was looking at this G2385, G2385, and it means James. I'm like, okay, all right, well, maybe in the Greek they just forgot to put the word adelphos, you know. Could have been whoever was copying the copy to make their copy of the scriptures, they just forgot a word. It happens, right? Well, so I went to get a second source, and I went back to Worthy Bible, and I went to their Strong's Concordance feature, and I put in the same thing, G2385, right? And it says it's the same as G2384. Gracized Jacobus. And then I noticed that it was over here too, the same as G2384, Gracized Jacobus. So I'm like, huh, it's the same. So G2385 is the same as G2384. Okay, so now we got to look at G2384. G2384, right, is of Hebrew origin, H3290, which means Jacob. I'm like, huh, H3290. So I went to H3290 and I got Jacob, like the patriarch Jacob. Jacob, who later changed his name to Israel by the angel, right? Jacob Israel. So Jacob. So I was thinking, hey, what's going on here? How Jacob? We didn't start off with the name Jacob, right? This is where we started off. Here's where we started. We started Judas, the brother of James, Judas, Jacobos, right? Of course, the word Adelphos is missing, but Jacobos, Judas, all right? We got Judas. That one checked out. But then we got the brother of James, where it says the brother of James, right? Jacobos. It doesn't check out. How did we go from the name Jacob to James? That clearly says Jacob. At the end of all the investigation of that word, it means Jacob. So Judas, the brother of James. This is where we're at in the list. Now getting back to this list that we're building. Judas, the brother of James. Well, I just showed you Judas, the brother of James, is Jacobos. It's Jacob. So it's not James at all. Judas, the brother of James. It's not James. It's Jacob. Right? So Judas, the brother of Jacob. That had its roots back to the Hebrew. The Hebrew was Jacob. So Judas, the brother of Jacob. Right? So now we have another situation. We have James here, right? So Judas was the brother of James, supposedly, but James is actually Jacob. So now this James that he was the brother of, his name has to change to Jacob, the son of Alphaeus. This is what it is. So Jacob, the son of Alphaeus, is the brother of Judas, the brother of Jacob. Right? So that was a mistranslation somewhere along the way. Right? So here are the apostles: Simon Peter, Andrew, James of Zebedee, John of Zebedee, Philip, Nathanael, called Bartholomew, Thomas, called Didymus, Matthew, called Levi, Jacob, the son of Alphaeus, Labius, called Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, also called Simon the Zealot, and Judas, the brother of Jacob. Right? So being that we found one mistranslation, I went back into all the original languages and I checked if there was anything else. So the New Testament, of course, was translated over from the Greek, right? So Peter, Petros, Andrew, Andreas, James of Zebedee, Jacobos, right? That's what it says. John of Zebedee, Ioannis. So all the rest checked out. The one that got flagged was the Jameses, right? Everything else checked out. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to put the list of the apostles from every gospel side by side on an Excel spreadsheet to see what they look like, right? So I just want you to be reminded of this. John 18, verses 8 through 9. Jesus answered, I have told you that I am he. If therefore ye seek me, let these go their way, that the saying might be fulfilled which he spake, of them which thou gavest me, have I lost none. Right? Well, Judas Iscariot was lost. So obviously, he was not one of the 12 that was given to Yeshua. He was 13, 14, 15, 16 to infinity, but he was not from 1 to 12. Right? So here's the list. In Matthew, and just so you can understand, the green are the ones that completely coincide with each other, right? The yellow letters are the ones that that it doesn't really agree with each other the whole way, because in Matthew, Judas, the brother of let's just say Jacob, Judas, the brother of Jacob, is missing, right? And he's also missing in the Gospel of Mark. So anywho, everything pretty much checks out. So this is the end of part 2, and just so you can see the list one more time, this was what we came up with. The apostles: Simon Peter, Andrew, James of Zebedee, John of Zebedee, Philip, Nathanael called Bartholomew, Thomas called Didymus, Matthew called Levi, Jacob the son of Alphaeus, Lebbaeus Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, also called Simon the Zealot, and Judas the brother of Jacob. Right? These are the 12 apostles. So this is the end of part 2. Thank you for watching till the end, and I hope to see you in part 3. God bless you.